Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the August 19th regular meeting of the Stonington Planning and Zoning Commission. I'm Chuck Sheehan, I'm the chairman. Let the record reflect that the meeting was called to order at 7 p.m. Just a matter of housekeeping before we start. There will be public hearings on several items tonight. As our town planner said, in about 45 minutes, half hour to 45 minutes, we'll probably begin the hearing on the subdivision, which I'm sure many of you are here to speak on. We're anxious to hear from all of you. We do have a process. I'd ask that you sign your name and address to the list of speakers in the back of the room. So if you want to speak, please, at some point in time in the next 45 minutes, make your way to the back of the room and sign up. That's either for or against or just to make a general comment. With that in mind, we have all the regular members here present this evening, so there'll be no appointment of alternates. What's the Commission's pleasure on the minutes number 1800 of July 15th, 2025?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for meeting number 1800 from July 15th, 2025 as submitted.
Second.
Motion to approve and seconded. Any discussion on minutes number 1800? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye. Motion
passes. Item 4 on the agenda is public comment. This is for any item that's not on the agenda. You can come up, take the mic, state your name and address, and state your issue to the Commission. Anyone wish to speak on any item not on the agenda? Hearing none, move on to correspondence.
No, I have one thing. I had a resident come by just before the meeting, wanted to submit some documentation, and this is in relation to the Commission item B1 on the Phase 2 zoning rewrite. It's just regarding some of the amendments about the improvements to the aquifer protection area, which is one of the proposed recommendations. So I'm just distributing this around.
Thank you. Anything else, Clifton?
Are there copies for it? Yes.
No one else wishes to address the Commission. We'll move on to correspondence. Clifton?
None.
Okay. Staff report?
None.
Anything for good of the order of the Commission?
Can you
Yes.
give us an update on Velvet Lane? Last time we were here, you were going to meet with people the
We
following
did.
week.
We had a meeting. We did have a meeting with the residents from public who had public concerns on Velvet Lane and also on Route 27 in general. It was as much of a discussion about Route 27 in its entirety as it was Velvet Lane. I think it was very constructive. It was left that the problem is more systematic in Route 27 than it is just at Velvet Lane, although there are certainly issues at Velvet Lane. And the staff is going to approach DOT with regard to a project on Route 27 to deal with all of the issues on Route 27. And maybe out of that we can break out a project for Velvet Lane. The residents were very engaged, very helpful, and very productive. I think it's more a project for the staff than it is the Commission at this time, although it may at some point in time come back to this Commission. Thank you for bringing that up.
Chuck, that the whole issue on Velvet Lane, and I think my comment on the last meeting about the Commission looking at the process of when there is a specific district that may have had limitations put on it during the course of the discussion and approval of the district that are not in our planning and zoning regs, such as you will not disrupt the neighborhood, you will, etc., that came out later on after any decisions were made on this, that we look at our process and we say from this point forward, when we have that kind of a specific district, that we ask staff to go back and historically look at any kind of limitations that were put on the approval of the district during the process.
Mhm.
Because, as I said, that took place probably 30 years ago. I
Right.
have no idea.
I don't think it was that long ago, but it was a while ago.
Right, and those comments are probably captured someplace. And to be honest with you, that's probably one of the reasons the district was allowed to go forward at the time, because it is in a historic district. So I think we do need to have some kind of a process with staff that is definitely looked at in the future for any district that we're talking about when there is a change.
Fair enough. Thank you. There are no other comments. Clifton, we have item 1, discussion on phase 2 of the zoning rewrite recommendations.
Yep. So, for those that were at the last virtual meeting we had at the end of June, on the zoning rewrite, our consultant, FHI, Francisco, presented a triaged list of the amendments that the commission's developed to date into 3 different buckets. One set of amendments that we were going to bring to a public hearing and vote on. A list of recommendations for the commission to consider at a later date, another time, different public hearing from the one that FHI has contracted to bring forward. And then a third set of recommendations that were to be tabled indefinitely. Basically just identifying that we came up with these recommendations through the process. We've identified either we need a lot more research to be done before we can advance it to a public hearing or make a decision, or some that just, we met with some pushback through the process, so they're tabled indefinitely. So those were presented at June and sent around to the commission. What FHI and what I'm looking for tonight from the commission is to validate that list and basically identify a month upcoming that we can hold a public hearing that our consultant, FHI Studio, will present this as an these amendments as an application. We'll do a formal public hearing on those amendments and hopefully adopt some of them into our regulations. So there are 2 items that I gave you for the commission tonight. The items that were listed under the recommendations to consider section basically were ones that the commission had left undecided whether or not they wanted to advance to a public hearing. So if there are any of those recommendations that you wish to be moved over to public hearing, let me know. And then secondly, like I said, identify a date or at least a month time frame that you would like to see this come to public hearing. And then we can hopefully close out our contractual obligations for that project with FHI.
And so what's the date you need to have our recommendations on the list?
Today.
Oh, today.
All right.
There's a lot there. Yeah, if you didn't go through, it's 126 pages of recommendations to advance. Yeah.
None of them are new recommendations. You have seen these consistently over the past year or so. They just were triaged in a list that was sent out at the beginning of June to the commission. And then at the meeting, the commission validated the list that FHI put together. And so we just formalized that based off the commission's feedback at that June meeting. And I'm looking for just validation of that work.
And there'll be no further discussion on the recommendations that were put forth on coastal resilience that were in the June meeting, much to the surprise of many of the members on the commission, suddenly taken off and decided that they did not have the appropriate discussions during the sessions on the rewrite. We're finished with that discussion.
I don't know that that's an accurate summary of the way I feel. I think that there were some of the items that were beyond the scope of a study like this. We got into them, and they weren't sufficiently developed to scientifically prepare an exact recommendation. For instance, you're going to set aside a FEMA study in the place you're going to put a new elevation, and some people said it should be 5 feet, some people said it should be 7 feet, some people said it should be an additional 2 feet. There was no science behind it. It was a very good thing to look at in light of the fact that that, you know, a number of resiliency issues around, you know, tidal rise are being studied, and we know that's coming. But I don't think it's really set aside. I think it was illuminated. It's a very valid issue. I think the work that was done was very valid in taking it as far as we took it. And I think we ought to advocate for taking it further and putting together a regulation that isn't speculative. It's a regulation that's based on science. And I think we've got a good start. So these items that I think you just said we're not going to do anything else with, I think we ought to advocate for doing a lot with these regulations on this list. Good work was done. The issues are illuminated. I think a lot of good ideas on how to regulate it were developed, but I think that additional work is needed. This is just my opinion. But additional work is needed to put some science to it so that the range of what each commissioner feels is bounded by some science. That's just on that one issue. And I think there are a number that fall into that category. But there was good work done by the commission, and I think we have illuminated the issues, and I think they're worthy of further study. That's why it was triaged into three tranches. So I think it's far from discussion over. I think it's discussion continued, and we've got to find the funding to develop this.
As I wrote in the memo, any of the recommendations that fall into those other two buckets, whether to be considered or tabled, they can be brought forth by the commission, by town staff at any time once we do additional research as necessary. So they're not gone forever. That's why we're archiving them in this format and not just basically deleting them into the ether. And so this will allow us to either do additional work, or should the commission decide that they, in a couple months down the line, they want to see a certain one come back, then we can set up a public hearing for that one particularly, because we've done the work already. So they're not gone. They're still sitting both in my office and archived on the town website, and as well as been sent out to you guys. So they're not gone forever. So whatever we choose to advance to a public hearing isn't the end-all be-all of this discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. So do you need a motion on this?
I need some concurrence, yes.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, unless there's any further discussion, at least for those items that are recommended to be moved forward for the public hearing to be scheduled, I make a motion to move those items that were identified to be scheduled with a public hearing within the next month, you said?
At a selected date.
Selected date,
If you could
so
give me a month, October, November, December.
It'll be its
January.
own meeting, yes.
Yes.
It'll be a special
It'll be its own
meeting.
application.
It's on
It won't be its
application.
own meeting.
Okay. So let's go with, I would recommend October, just so we can move forward with that. I know September's going to be very full, obviously, so.
So we have a motion to move forward with the recommendations as presented. Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Seconded by Gary. Thank you both. Any discussion?
So what we've just said is that the recommendations to consider, all the recommendations to consider will be moved forward to recommendations to advance.
As presented.
Yes, presented,
No.
yeah. Or not all, just the first category that you said.
There's three buckets.
Right,
One
yeah.
is recommendations to advance.
Right, that's the one
what the
I'm making a
motion is.
motion on.
There are two other ones, one that are tabled indefinitely to an undetermined time, ones that can come up for further consideration that the commission has agreed that they would like to see at a future public hearing, just not this one. So there are three buckets, so the motion is for the ones to
First bucket,
advance,
yeah.
that as triaged.
Well, I'd like to talk about, what about the recommendations to consider? What's the justification for not bringing those forward to recommendation to advance?
You mean every one of them?
Yeah. We discussed them, we made changes to them, we spent time on them. I guess I feel that in those meetings, if we discussed them and we came to a resolution and we were happy with it, the assumption was, maybe incorrectly on my part, that meant we were going to bring them forward to advance, not that we were going to then say, well, we're only going to pick the top 10 of a, multi-month effort. So I think we need justification to say that any recommendation that we discussed is not going to move forward to advance. And so I'd like to know why you're not saying to bring the ones to advance, you know, a recommendation to consider to be recommendations to advance, Ryan.
Isn't that what we did at the last meeting, the last Zoom meeting?
We didn't go
You
through
were
everything.
present, yes we
Yes,
did.
we did.
Went through everything.
And we triaged them into the
We
list that was
triaged them
presented
into
to you,
the
correct?
various tranches
Yep.
after a discussion of each one. That's what was done. It wasn't well attended. The meeting wasn't well attended. You were there.
I know I was there because again,
Well, you were very helpful. You were very helpful, as you always are.
I feel like we've made some missteps here, and I just want to make sure that everyone on the commission understands, because as you said, it was not well attended, and it was not well attended by the public either.
No, true. But the sessions in general were, we had workshops on these issues, and there was also a lot of feedback. I received a lot of feedback on a lot of these regulations after these sessions. So, you know, but they were triaged, and we did go through them, and we discussed why they were being set aside. And in most cases, it was because it was based on speculation in the end. Not that it wasn't a good idea, it's a very good idea. But if you're going to regulate something like a stream belt, it can't be based on speculation. It's got to be based on science. And
There are some things that can, but Chuck, I have to say, if you wait for perfection, if you wait for every I to be dotted and T to be crossed, there's never any advancement, right? And this is an area where a small incremental change is probably a change that most people will accept. It will have benefit. Then you move to the next incremental change when you have more scientific data, but we have had very thorough discussions and participation among the public of people that we consider subject matter experts. Are they the best experts in the world? I don't know. But we in the course of the discussion, they did present data, and there was thorough, robust discussion, and there were many times where there was, maps looked at, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, maybe it's not 100% perfect, but if you wait for 100% perfect, nothing changes. So I'm just wondering why at the last minute, so since June, over an effort that's been several months, several hours.
Several years.
Yeah, that in one meeting, we went through how many recommendations?
there were a lot, but if we
Right.
went through
And
it,
we
we
said
went through
Probably about
everyone.
six. Probably
That
about
was
60.
We
for a meeting that
triaged
was not
everyone.
well
I
attended.
don't agree with you
Okay.
that there was detailed, thorough discussions on every one of these subjects, because I don't think there was. I think we got into it in a manner in which the scope of this study allowed us to. We illuminated certain issues, and I think these things ended up in 3 tranches. Things that we're very confident in, that we can move forward with a legally defensible document and not be challenged, or if we're challenged, defend it. And some that we think with a little bit more work we can, and a lot of the items that you're talking about fall into that category, and some that just aren't worthy of consideration. And that's the buckets that they were put into. I don't think in a hurried fashion. I think it was done well at the last meeting. And I think we're in a position where we can move forward with the first tranche, and maybe in a position to move forward with the majority of the ones in the second tranche in the near term. That would be my hope.
Yeah, I think so. Hurried, some of the members of the town looked at it, gave it time, and we got their opinion on it. So that was given more time. So that wasn't hurried, that was with more time.
The whole time we had a paid consultant with us that probably would have said if he felt something wasn't legally defendable during the course of the discussion. So it's interesting, once again, that it came up in one meeting.
Well, I mean, there was always the idea that these would be reviewed again. We finished every major session with a statement that these are the issues that move forward, but not necessarily forward to public hearing. And that was said in every one of the concluding statements, that it was a preliminary list. And now we have a list that you know, is in 3 tranches. So I think we have a motion on the table, unless there's additional discussion or points that anyone wants to make. Is the commission ready to vote on the
I'd
motion?
just like to, I wasn't at the last meeting, and I'm sorry I missed it.
Which meeting?
The one that we
Zoom-
went through
The Zoom
these,
meeting,
yeah, the Zoom meeting when you went through all this stuff.
right.
But I know how sometimes these things work, and we have that middle tranche, whatever you want to call it, bucket. And I want to make sure that that doesn't get forgotten. I know sometimes we get so busy, and it's like, oh yeah, we're going to move these, whatever, up for public hearing, and we have this to be considered bucket, and we'll just work on that later. I'd like to see some kind of a plan from staff or from somebody about like how we are going to, like, let's put that on an agenda, or let's make a subcommittee or something to relook at those ones that are in that middle bucket, shall we say, and
Good
not
point.
let them die on the shelf.
My feeling is that we ought to, in our budget, identify an item for a consultant to continue the work. Without money and without a consultant, you can't do anything on something like this. So maybe a subcommittee is in order. We'll have to have a discussion on that. But I think you raised a good point.
And Clifton, is that something you could do, put together the plan for kind of those next steps?
Absolutely.
Here's a plan for the next steps.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent recommendation. So if there is no further discussion on the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
That's 2 ayes. Anyone opposed?
Opposed.
Do we have?
Can we do a roll call?
Yeah. Okay, so Lynn,
Opposed.
Gary?
4.
4. The motion passes. Chair abstains. Okay, moving on. Zoning enforcement and violations. There's a report. It came along with your staff report. I did have a call from Ben Tansky, who looked at the Seaport Marine complaint, and he was concerned that identified in the specifics on that complaint was a conversation between him and someone from the deep, and he doesn't recall having that conversation. So I would ask that Candy reach out to Ben and discuss with him the issues on that conversation, if there's a correction to the record that's required that it be made.
Understood.
Anyone else have any issues on the zoning enforcement officer report? Okay. Let me move to items for administrative review. Item 1, application 25-173, ZON, Hero Holdings LLC. Is there anyone here from Hero Holdings this evening?
Okay.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Just identify yourself, please.
Sure, my name is Glenna Doyle, and I own Hero Holdings, and I also own Rhodes Collar Dog Training. And shall I just jump in?
Please.
Okay. Our plan is to put in a swimming pool. It's an above-ground portable pool that is 13 by 25 and 4 feet deep, and inside 8-foot fencing all around.
And this pool is for rehabilitation for?
Exercise,
Exercise.
rehab, conditioning, confidence building.
Is the pool going to remain up the entire year or be closed down and
We'll close
Taken
it,
down.
winterize it,
winterized?
yeah.
Will it remain standing, or it look like a buttress plastic liner pool? Is that what it is, above ground?
Yes,
It is, okay. And you said there's an 8-foot fence around it?
yes.
Okay. How do you get into the pool?
With a ladder or steps.
Okay.
Just because I have a dog,
Yeah.
how they're going to get up? Is it going to be a ramp or something, or are you going to carry them?
we'll have a ramp.
A
We'll
ramp?
have a ramp.
Okay. Would that ramp be something that could be detached from it when it's not in use, just so?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And there's also a ramp to go inside, which we can detach.
So the filter system, how does the filter system operate? Where does it discharge to?
Oh, boy. So, can you help me with that? It's a salt water pool, so
Okay.
it's,
They all backwash.
Yeah, when you do the backwash, that's the only where the water would exit out, right? Because otherwise it's closed system.
It's a closed system. A backwash is just going into to basically wood chips there. And, I mean, we don't have a preliminary plan for handling the backwash water. Do we need
Okay,
that?
I'm not sure that discharge on the ground is gonna be allowed, but these issues will come up during the course of the building permit. And if you are gonna discharge to like, well, you can't discharge saltwater backwash to like the storm sewer or anything like that, so you're gonna have to develop a solution for the backwash. It may just be a cartridge filter that I don't think has a backwash.
Yeah, I mean, it has a big cartridge filter on the system and a pump that's running through it. So the primary cleaning thing is shutting the pump down and pulling out the big, huge filter inside and washing it out. And then the traditional.
So maybe that could be done in an enclosed environment then.
We can do that in our big kitchen sink, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Then if that's the case, it probably isn't an issue. Is there gates in the 8-foot fence, or is the 8-foot fence gonna be attached to the building?
no, there are gates.
There are.
Self-locking, like when they close
Yes.
automatic. Okay.
I imagine all the same protections that if it were a pool that was built for, recreation of people, you're gonna have to, follow the same rules.
Right.
Anyone else have any questions of Hero Holdings? Hearing none, what's the commission's pleasure on application number 1, administrative review?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the application from Hero Holdings as submitted.
second.
Made and seconded, thank you both. You want to put a condition on there that the filter backwash, be reviewed by
Yes.
WPCA?
I'll make a motion to approve the application with the one stipulation that the filter backwash discharge be reviewed by the town building department.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Item 2, application 25-191Z0N, 65 Cutler Street, LLC, R. Aubie. Evening, sir.
Good evening, everybody.
Just say your name and address for the record, if you would, please, sir.
Richard Auber, 65 Cutler Street.
How are you?
Good.
Good. Good to see you.
Good to see all of you. Thanks for being here.
You can just present your application to us.
It's pretty simple. I don't know how many of you know the Harpsichord building, which is down there by the railroad tracks next to what used to be Zach's place. And at the rear end of that building, we abut the railroad tracks. In fact, on some of the old town maps, you can see that we even had siding along the railroad with our own platform to unload Model T cars and that kind of thing right into the building off of the tracks. And there was a garage building there for which there still exists a foundation, which I've been in the process of restoring. Many of you who've ever gone over the viaduct know that I've had a sailboat out there for some 3 decades. And finally I've faced reality and cut it up, never having launched it. The guy who owned the building before me, same story, except his was donated to Old Mystic Village and it sits there still under a cover. His was a nice old wooden hair shop and mine was just some unknown maker from California, fiberglass boat. But anyway, back there we work, and on a day like today, it's pretty hot. And I want to build, not build, but install a tent that I already bought that is the dimensions and sizes shown on my application. And in the photos, which are not great, I admit, you see that there's a lot of are maintenance equipment, lawnmowers and this and that and the other thing that, if you have to change the oil on something or, just something that we don't do inside the building for whatever reason, I have to stand outside in the sun and do it. And it occurred to me, wouldn't it be great if I could just have a tent there? And so that's what I want to do.
So is the tent permanent?
Nope. No, I at least will take the cover off to prevent it from getting snow on it. If somebody felt really strongly that they wanted me to take the frame down, I guess I'd do that too. I plan to affix it to the concrete pretty, robustly. So.
Okay, very good idea.
And I see the fire marshal every year anyway for the other stuff in the building, so if he had anything to weigh in on about, that stuff, I'm always doing whatever he wants anyway. It's really just about getting out of the sun and then transitioning from the time that we have a tent to ultimately someday rebuilding that garage structure that was there, so we actually, have, some sort of,
Permanent structure.
Yeah, something more permanent there.
So this is a transitional
Yeah.
facility until you can do that.
Yeah, but last time I went to the skin doc, they're like, Richard, so, I just looked up one day and said, where's my tent? So that's why I'm here.
Okay. Any questions, Mr. Avi?
Not from me. And it's Auburn, by the way.
I'm sorry.
There's an R on the end.
There's no
Yeah,
no
maybe-
R on my agenda.
Yep, just so that the record shows, there's an R on the end.
Sorry for the mispronunciation.
No worries.
If there are no questions, what's the commission's pleasure on the request of 65 Cutler Street LLC?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the request of 65 Cutler Street LLC as submitted. No stipulations.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Do we want to just mention that this is a transitional structure? No? Okay. So the motion is made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Chair abstains. Congratulations, Mr. Auburn.
Thank you, Mr. Sheehan.
Sheehan. Thank you, sir.
That's very good.
Yeah.
I really want to thank you guys for, just having a window into your world, watching this go by and thinking that you guys do this every, month or every few months. Amazing. I thank you. Really, it's not thank you.
Thank you. Very kind of you. Item 3, application 25-196 ZON, Thavco LLC. Is there anyone here from Thavco? Evening, sir.
I'm Eric Thavenet. With Thavco LLC, we have both parcels 12 and 14 Chase Street. We're looking to put a 12 by 20 it's a shed, pre-made shed, which we have all the framing details, anchoring details. I've met with Bob. We're looking to take, and also Byron, we're looking to take an internal office space and make a private office space in the back, which is already a chained off area, to put, not only to open up for more area for manufacturing in our facility, but also to not have an office in the middle of a manufacturing facility.
Okay. Anything else to add?
I think that's all.
Okay. Any questions of the applicant? If there are no questions, what's the commission's pleasure on application of Thavco LLC?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the application of Thavco LLC as submitted with no stipulations.
Second.
Was that a second I heard?
Yeah.
Thank you. Motion made and seconded. Thank you both. Any discussion? All in favor of the application of Thavco LLC?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
We'll move on to old business. First item is PZ 2516 SPA, General Dynamics Electric Boat, Guerrero Engineering Associates. Good evening, sir. Yeah, please. If anyone would like to see what's up on the billboard or on the boards that are going to be posted, you can move around here. Could you just state your name for the record, sir?
Yep, for the record, Kurt Procharena, representing the applicant, General Dynamics Electric Boat, Guerrero Engineering Associates, 15 Thames Street, Groton, Connecticut. So we're here tonight to talk about a tent structure. We were back in December of '24. The same project, different location, was approved. Just by way of background, it was in an existing parking area over here. This application is for the same temporary type structure, steel frame, fabric covering, relocated to a different area of the site behind what's called Eagle 2. Eagle 1, Eagle 2. So this is the site of the structure. The use is the same. It's an unconditioned space, essentially meant to keep rain and snow off various pieces of equipment, fixtures that are stored in a temporary manner for use at the Groton Shipyard. The application was originally submitted prior to us performing a geotechnical assessment. Timing just didn't work out for us. Once the geotechnical assessment was done, we found that bedrock was shallower than we had thought. So we had to revise our stormwater management system. And in a minute, I'll turn it over to my colleague to describe what that was. We worked closely with Chris Greenlaw and Steve Trinkoff to design the system. I think his letter and his comments are in your packet.
They are.
But we felt it was important to kind of go over that aspect of the project, and of course, any questions you
I
have.
think that's good
anything
because
else.
there were extensive comments.
Yes, yes. So, Ellis, take it over.
Yeah, so the new tent is the same size as previously approved, 120 by 300 feet. The property is zoned M1 industrial. The proposed plan is in compliance with all the zoning requirements, setbacks, building heights, lot size, frontage. I think that plan's on the back. This one, this site plan. Yep. The only utility service is electric. That'll be from the adjacent building. There's the northern driveway and then the southern driveway, and it's meant to be accessed by a box truck that enters and then exits right through the south driveway. No area lighting is proposed. Since the geotech borings indicated shallow rock, infiltration is not a feasible stormwater practice. Therefore, additional treatment of potential pollutants for the full water quality storm volume is proposed. Low-impact development practices were incorporated, such as the pervious driveways and shallow slope vegetated areas for the roof runoff to promote natural infiltration. The detention system underneath the southern driveway in this box here. That has incorporated a pollutant isolator row that'll trap any pollutants, and it'll get cleaned out on a yearly or bi-yearly basis, depending on how much pollutants it actually collects. And as Kurt mentioned, oh, by the way, my name is Ellis Farmer. I'm a project engineer with Lorero Engineering. We have no issues with the recommended conditions of approval from the Trinkus comments.
Okay, just a couple of quick questions. Is it only electric, no fire suppression in the tent?
Correct.
Correct. It's an unconditioned space, and the electric is only for lighting.
Contents are not flammable?
Correct.
Okay. Is there a shelf on the outside of the grading where a fire truck can approach this and could put out a fire if it were to take flame and start burning?
Not directly adjacent to the building. We've got this driveway that's parallel to it.
Okay, and driveways at either end?
Yes, it's a pass-through type structure.
Yeah.
Okay. So how would they get to the, let's say, where's north on this drawing? Down?
It's up.
Up. Okay, so how would they get to the southwest side of the structure to fight a fire if it started burning in that area?
You would have to walk down the driveway. So the fire trucks could access the driveway parallel to the building.
Yeah.
And then it's within, a certain number of feet of any hydrants to access the back.
And where are the hydrants?
I know there's one down here by the driveway.
Yeah, adjacent to the building.
Yeah.
Additionally, the fire trucks could utilize these access roads because they've been specifically designed to accommodate large trucks.
Mm-hmm.
So they could access either end of the structure.
What's the grade of that road?
9%.
That's really steep.
Yeah, and we did that because of the bedrock to try to minimize the amount of cut.
I take it back. We reduced it. It's less than 6% on this end and less than 9% at this.
You don't think fire hydrant in the vicinity of the tent is a good idea?
The material is considered non-flammable because it's treated, and being a steel structure, there's nothing flammable inside the tent. It's all steel fixtures, steel pipe, slabs of steel. There's no operations that take place in here. There's no cutting, no grinding. It's purely a weather enclosure.
Hi.
Yes, Ashley.
Hi, I'm Ashley Harrington, the project manager from Electric Boat, so I can speak to that. Primarily boat material, this is again just excess laydown space that we need to have covered, just because it can't really be in the elements for rust and all those purposes. I know when we deal with temporary structures too, like we do turkey tents, when we do like a gift distribution to the company, fire extinguishers are put in them. Is that something that you would feel comfortable with us having if we had to put them every so often within the space as well to accommodate?
That might be a good idea. I guess I'd just like the fire marshal to take another look at it. Fire marshal's happy with no fire hydrant back there. You know, I think the board would be happy. So maybe we just put a condition in that the fire marshal review it from the standpoint of fire suppression. And if anything additional is required, then it would be added.
Yeah, again, the reason
I think the fire extinguishers are a great idea.
Okay. Again, the reason for this too is that we want to have flexibility. We've already come to you once in December. I was actually here unrelated for my own house stuff, but
I remember.
yeah, so we want to have flexibility on the site because again, the first suggestion we had took away parking. Taking away parking at the company is a very, very, hard thing to do because people need to park to get to work. So we don't have flexibility in terms of where we put this. Obviously, we're only putting one there. But I mean, fire extinguishers are a very simple thing that I think we can be more than happy to accommodate.
Okay, great. And is this a transitional thing that if the need were to go on for any length of time, that this would become a permanent structure and you'd come back to us with a design?
As of right now, we've been told it's temporary and I'm gonna run with that.
Okay. All right. Anyone else with questions?
I just have on points 35 and 36 on the stormwater, they say they're not addressed. Is there a reason for that? On the stormwater data?
No, I think they were just missed as marked addressed.
He's gonna have to live with the condition that they satisfied Trinkus's memo anyway, so.
The whole thing?
So, yeah, the whole
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
so.
The spillway is no longer
Dangling
there.
participles in that
There is
memo.
no spillway, so
Yeah.
I think he just forgot to put the word addressed on it.
Yeah,
Okay.
but, no, it's related to the previous design. There's no longer a stormwater practice too,
Yeah.
and there's no spillway for that practice either.
Any other questions of Lorero or General Dynamics?
Do we have any kind of a listing on, I know you said steel pipes, things like that, but, should we consider limiting the storage of certain materials in the tent? So right now, what we've heard is pipes.
They're both parts.
Yeah, I mean, it's all gonna be some kind of metals. It's, we don't really have a lot of wood storage there. Our wood storage would be things that we have in-house because our carpenters work with the wood, so this is all just boat material.
That's kind of a broad category, isn't it? I just wonder if that's acceptable.
I'm not sure how much we can disclose again because of the certain materials and obviously being a defense
We
contract.
understand that submarines
but
are highly
there's-
classified.
Right, it's in a tent. I mean, is that,
No,
I
I
mean, you've
think,
got security, you've got other things
Well, they
to
said-
think
yeah.
about.
Yeah.
And I can understand your concern there, and I'm thinking maybe that the Fifth Amendment or stipulation where we get the fire marshal to sign off on that plan.
Right.
Fire suppression plan, that would cover concerns about any other materials, right? Because he would have to sign off and say, okay, yes.
Correct.
This is going to, I think.
Unless the plan just says both parts. And then that's,
I think in this particular instance, with the kind of construction and security and things like that, I don't know that we can delve too much deeper into that.
We work very closely with Byron now. We have a very good rapport and relationship with him. So, I mean, in terms of following whatever rules and policies that you guys put in place, we are more than willing to do that. I don't know how much more information I can give you on it because from a security standpoint, we're not allowed.
Right, I understand what you're saying. I'm not asking you to list them all now. I just wonder if we, as a committee, should make a recommendation that it's limited to X, Y, Z, and not the broad category of both parts. I don't know what that would be. It's just a thought.
I don't know why we would care.
The fire department's
already
reviewed it, had no comment.
You don't
Yeah,
care
I mean,
about
that's where I
think that
security or
fifth
the rest?
stipulation.
I think I'm happy with the fire marshal reviewing it, and the fire marshals periodically walk through these areas, and if he thought there was a fire hazard in the future, you might have to put a fire hydrant back there. You know, but I would think, and if he really gets nervous, you might have to put fire suppression or you know, subaqueous foam, AFFF foam in there.
Yeah, like I
if
said,
it's really
I
nasty,
think in
but.
terms of us dealing with like temporary structures, the thing that we typically do is we have signage, like proper signage, especially for like nighttime of exit signs and things like that. We put in place every so often fire extinguishers because of the size of it. You know, we'll certainly make sure they're every so often in terms of distances will comply with the code. And that's kind of how I treat it as a temporary structure. So I would think to follow in suit of how we've done it before.
You're gonna be subject to
Thank you.
periodic visits from the fire marshal.
Yep.
And I think that coupled with the extra review on the building permit, I think we're covered.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I have a question for Clifton, I guess. Does this negate their previous
Yes.
permit? Is that somehow,
Yes,
it does negate it?
correct.
Okay. Make sure they can't slip in 2 times.
No, I promise we're not.
I'm just
It's
kidding.
one. It's one.
Well, I just didn't see like this is a separate application, but by doing this,
It's an updated site plan.
oh, it is an update, so it's a site plan
Modification,
okay, all right.
correct, so they're modifying the whole
Okay, that's right,
interior.
I didn't see that anywhere, it is a
In this, can we
modification.
choose either location to put it in? No?
No.
No.
So we override it and then we're going with this one?
Yes, this is where it has to go if we
Next,
approve it.
and that one has to go here.
Okay.
Oh, is that that's a,
No, okay. No, that's fine. You just made a decision for us and that's fine with me.
well, you could withdraw, you could pull back now and go,
Nope.
right, and go back to the old place.
If you change it again, you have to reapply again.
Nope,
Yeah.
we're good.
Okay, if there are no further questions of General Dynamics or Lavero, what's the commission's pleasure on application A under old business?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the site plan application for General Dynamics Electric Boat with the following 5 stipulations. Number 1, the applicant shall address the outstanding comments to the satisfaction of the town planner and town engineer as applicable. Number 2, final plan shall be reviewed to the satisfaction of the town engineer and town planner. Number 3, final plan shall be signed by the commission and recorded in the town's land evidence records. Number 4, the applicant shall post an erosion and sedimentation control bond prior to the issuance of the zoning permit. The bond shall be either in the form of a certified check or a revocable letter of credit meeting the requirements of ZR 15.4.3. The bond amount shall be established by the town engineer after an estimate of the cost of installing and maintaining appropriate erosion and sedimentation control measures is provided by the applicant and approved by the town engineer. Work shall remain bonded for a minimum of 1 year from the date of zoning compliance. And number 5, the fire marshal shall review from a fire suppression standpoint the plan, and the applicant will comply with all his recommendations.
Motion with stipulations made by Ryan. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the application?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Application passes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, item B, application number PZ2525BR, MIPOA, parentheses, MIFD, care of T. Giola.
Good evening. I'm Tom Giola, 3 Allen's Alley.
So I didn't mess your name up, Tom, because I got the
No,
right
you did
spelling.
not. So, I was here for a bond reduction.
Correct.
The engineer recommended the full amount to be reduced, so I formally like to request the full amount to be reduced. So, that's it.
Thank you for your brevity, sir. I did see a memo from the town engineer who says everything is in order, unless anybody has any questions. And Mr. Giola, I think the appropriate motion is in order.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the bond release and reduction application of MIPOA MIFD care of T. Giola for the full release of the bond.
Application to release, motion to release by Ryan. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Bond is released, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, item C, application PZ 2526 SPA Kayla Group LLC, D. Ferguson.
Good evening,
Evening,
ladies
sir.
and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here once again. As you recall, my name is Doug Ferguson. You may not recall that, my last appearance here. So you have the application there. As you know, we purchased the commonly called the Yardney property, and we'd like to put a wire extrusion system in it, manufacturing system, which we'd purchase from Davis Standard, local business here, as you know. And the building does have adequate sprinkler system, fire suppression, which obviously I'll have Byron review and inspect. We might do some modifications for electrical, at which point we will obviously pull an electrical permit with the building official. Any questions?
Any questions of Mr. Ferguson?
I'm just curious, the writing is in Chinese here, I think. Is that produced by Davis Standard on the equipment diagram?
That is just, I think, something that we took to show the type of equipment we're using. They haven't designed our equipment yet.
Okay.
Actually, what I'd like to do at this point, the funny thing, with my first meeting with Cliff and Candy on this subject was, Candy, as she would, gave me a very pointed, direct question. What do you know about extrusion business? I said, absolutely nothing. So I'd like to bring up my good friend. He's the engineer who works at Davis Standard, and he installs and maintains their equipment for their customers. And with their design engineer and their salesperson, he's going to be my business partner, Jim Weaver, a good friend, actually.
Hello, nice to meet you all.
Good evening.
So any questions you may have, he's the man.
Any questions of either gentleman?
Thank you for the compliments.
Hearing none, what's the commission's pleasure on the application of Kayla Group?
Chuck, I had one comment.
Yes.
Sorry. One of my only comment on it is the site is subject to an environmental land use restriction, ELUR, which requires documentation to be sent to DEEP. It's for the exterior of the property, so not the area under consideration tonight, but I just wanted for the record that the applicant is conducting those inspections as necessary to DEEP.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Would you want me to make that a stipulation?
Nope.
Okay.
Any further comments, Clifton?
Nope.
Hearing none, Ryan, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the site plan application of Kayla Group LLC as submitted with the following stipulation. Number one, the applicant shall address outstanding comments to the satisfaction of the fire marshal and town planner as necessary.
Application with stipulation by, motion with stipulation by Ryan. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded, thank you both. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the application?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Chair abstains. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great
Go
evening.
about extruding your wire. Okay, item D, PZ 2527, CAM, D. Slocum, Coastal Area Management Review. Seamus?
Sir?
How are you this evening?
Great. How are you?
Excellent.
Good evening, Commission. I'm Seamus Moran from H&H Engineering Associates. Today I'm really just helping a good friend of mine, Drew Slocum, and Jen Ritchie on their CAM application that they have before you. Jen and Drew are with us here, but I told them I'll just kind of go over the buzzwords hopefully be in and out of here pretty quickly. It's a CAM application. They received ZBA approval in January. It's an existing 1 3/4 story house that's non-FEMA compliant. They received approval in January from ZBA to put a small addition on the front of the house. We are here now for a CAM application to take the house down to the foundation, take the walls down to the foundation, and then build a FEMA compliant building. Elevation 11.3, first floor right now. We're proposing to go to 12.3. It's in AE elevation 11, so we have that extra foot on there. Plus we have another 4 inches of clearance above the +1 foot. There's a couple minor comments from the town engineer from a few months ago that were addressed on here. He just asked for essentially some soil erosion sediment control measures. We have a silt sock shown along the edge of Lambert's Cove, construction entrance, and a temporary soil stockpile area. Other than that, he has building plans. He'll be submitting those to the building department for FEMA compliance and flood vents and all that fun stuff. Otherwise, if you don't have any questions, Jen and Drew are here. They can answer those, but I think it's pretty straightforward.
No major earthwork,
No.
septic system?
No.
Will be the same septic system?
It's on public sewer, public water.
Okay.
So nothing for that. The only earthwork necessary is just they have to excavate out for this small addition here. So that's it. So the construction entrance is in place, but they're not expecting earthwork.
So you have a stockpiling area?
Yeah, so what's shown here, this is the stockpiling area.
Okay.
It's much bigger than it needs to be, but it's shown on there, along with the construction entrance off the edge. But that earthwork is going to be very limited.
What's the timing on all this?
Structural engineering should be about a month. We'll be submitted to the building department next month at this point.
Okay. Any further questions of either Seamus or the applicants?
What will be the new height of the building? The 24
24 feet, I think that's what it said on the application.
Okay.
No further questions? What's the commission's pleasure on the application of D. Slocum?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the coastal area management CAM application of D. Slocum with no recommended stipulations.
Motion to approve by Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations.
Thank you. Good luck tonight.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now move into public hearings. The first item is continued from the July 15th meeting. Just remind everybody, if they wish to speak on either of these public hearing items, that you sign up in the rear on the appropriate sheet. Motion to continue the public hearing?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to reopen the public hearing for the Latimer Point Condo Association.
Motion to reopen Latimer Point Condo Association zoning text amendment hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, sure. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? The hearing is open. Evening, Ed.
Thank you. For the record, my name is Ed Lally. I'm a licensed professional engineer and land surveyor, and I have an office in Windsor, Connecticut. I'm also a member of the board of the Latimer Point Condominium Association, and I also happen to be the president of the Latimer Point Fire District. I see you have a full agenda, so I'll attempt to be brief. As stated, this is a continued public hearing for a new text document, a text amendment for a new section 10.7 to be known as the Latimer Point Condominium District. The applicant submitted the proposed text of the new zone with our initial application to the commission, and the town staff provided a detailed and comprehensive review to which we responded with revisions to our proposal. The revised text was presented to the commission at the last meeting, not the original text, but the revised text, and I believe it was well received. I recently received the town staff report on the revised text, and it notes that all of the issues of concern were addressed. I believe that we can all agree that Latimer Point Condominium is a unique, family-oriented, water-dependent coastal residential community which has, for the most part, been developed prior to the adoption of the zoning regulations, and then for quite some time was developed through 30 applications to the Zoning Board of Appeals, actually more than, and most recently through the site plan process. The Commission has seen the importance and recognized that some properties within Stonington do not fit neatly into the zoning regulations. and that these properties, because of their uniqueness, require their own individual floating zone. And Latimer Point, I believe, is one such property. We believe that, as discussed last month, is that this zoning regulation amendment will have no negative impact on abutting properties, on abutting municipalities, on the town of Stonington, or on the demand for town services. In fact, this zoning regulation amendment will have a very significant positive impact on the grand list without any real increase in required town services. And perhaps most importantly, as stated by your town planner last month, adoption of this regulation will codify and incorporate into the regulations what has been a handshake agreement between the town and the residents of Latimer Point for the last 25 years. Respectfully request your approval of this regulation change, and I'm happy to try and address any questions or concerns you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Any questions of Edmund Lally? As usual, Ed, very thorough.
Thank you, sir.
Very.
Long time. You've been at this a long time.
A while, yeah. It shows.
So if there are no questions of Mr. Lally, what's the commission's pleasure? I'm sorry, we gotta hear from the people that apologize. Clifton, comments?
All my comments have been addressed.
All comments addressed, okay. Then I believe, unless you have anything else, Ed, for us, I don't think we have any questions for you. We'll move to public comment.
Thank you, sir.
At this point, I have one person signed up, Carlene Donnarummo, who wishes to make a general comment on this application. Evening, Carlene. Hope you're feeling better this evening.
Thank you. I was really upset with the beginning, the first thing that he said that they applied for. It was very difficult to read with all the LPDs, whatever. So my comment to them would have been to explain what the little letters are. And I believe it's been rewritten and it's much better. And so now I don't have to speak in opposition or in general comments. I can say, yes, it's a very good document.
So thank you for your comment. That's always reassuring. Anyone else wish to speak in either favor or against this application? Repeat one more time. Anyone either in favor or against? Ed, do you wish any rebuttal time at all?
No, sir.
No rebuttal time. Unless the commission has any questions of anyone, I think the motion to close the public hearing is in order.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to close this public hearing.
Motion to close, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The public hearing is closed. What is the commission's pleasure on Latimer Point Condo Association zoning text amendment?
Clifton, can I make a combined motion for the POCD and the?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the both the plan of concept or the zoning regulation amendment and consistency with the plan of conservation and development for the Latimer Point Condo Association as submitted.
Motion to approve as submitted, both items, POCD compliance and zoning text amendment. Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Seconded by Gary, thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations, Ed.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, next public hearing, we need to read the legal advertisement.
Can we do, I told some people to move into the hallway. Can we?
Yeah, that's fine. Yes, that's a
Can we
good
do like
idea.
a brief?
We'll take a 5-minute recess and we'll reconvene at 8:09.
Find the thermostat.
Yeah, right. You're in the middle, so.
I'm not recusing myself, so it's my
If you could read the legal advertisement, please.
I don't.
You could just read the notice on the agenda.
I'll just read the notes. Okay, this is to open up PZ 2522SD F Verzilla subdivision application to create 13 building lots. Properties are located at 75 Moss Street and Burdick Lane, Pawcatuck, NBL 4-24-7A and 4-247B. Properties are located in the RA 15 zone.
Thank you, Lynn. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to open this public hearing for F. Verzillo for PZ 2522 SD.
Motion to open the application. Is there a second?
Second motion.
Made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Before we begin, and I turn it over to the attorney, I just want to describe the process a little bit. The members seated are the regular members of the commission. That's everyone except Dave Resendez. We always appreciate Dave's comments during the public hearing, but he won't be voting on this. The way this works is the applicant will present their application. Staff will make comments. The commission will ask the applicant and their engineer any questions they want to ask. Then I have a sign-up list where folks have signed up to speak either for or against or make general comments. Most of the people want to make general comments. We have quite a few people signed up. As a courtesy to those who want to speak and to the process really, we ask that you keep your comments confined to things that are important and keep them as brief as possible. If you want to echo the comments of someone that came in front of you, the commission understands that, and it'll be just as meaningful as restating it. After everyone makes their comments, the applicant will get an opportunity to rebut anything they want to rebut. After the applicant's rebuttal, anyone who spoke to begin with will get an opportunity to rebut the rebuttal. So you can see if you take longer than 2 or 3 minutes, with the exception of the counselor who's presenting the application and the engineer, if you take longer than 2 or 3 minutes, we're going to be here till after midnight tonight, and that's a discourtesy to all the constituents in the room, and I know you all have the interest run high in this, and we want to hear what you have to say. So the bottom line is, if you could make your comments, we're interested in hearing what you have to say, very interested, and it can make a difference in the application. But please check your soapbox at the door. Don't take all night to make the comments. That's the point. So with that in mind, turn it over to the counselor, and please proceed, sir.
Good evening, Commission. My name's Attorney Rob Avina with the law firm of Sisson Shapiro, local office in Pawcatuck here, 20 South Ingrove Road. I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant Frank Verzillo, who's in the row just behind me, with his daughter Marissa Verzillo. They're both officers of the corporation that they operate for land development. They are the owners, along with Carol Verzillo. I know that was one of the initial issues, was the application filled out by Frank. The planner picked up that there's an additional owner, and so I do present as an exhibit tonight the further authorization of Mrs. Verzillo. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
We are going to present with Sergio Terenzia, of course, of Terenzia Engineers, the basic outline of what we're looking at. But I might start with the end, which is the end of my presentation is that we are going to be considering and requesting from this board and commission that we continue the public hearing until September. I realize you're on a timing situation, so we are extending for 30 days your consideration of this application, which gives you an opportunity to hear it again in September and then decide through the middle of October. And the reason for that, as Sergio will go over with you, is of course we have quite an extensive list from comments of the independent engineer as well as the town engineer, and we are still working out some of those details. But also, most importantly for us and my clients is that we want to hear from everybody. We realize that they've come out tonight, and we certainly appreciate that, and we're really anxious to get the comments of the neighborhood, possibly because, again, jumping the gun a bit, there are two potentialities here. We are presenting the application as a cul-de-sac, which comes up, and Sergio will explain to you, and ends without being a through road. One of the other options that the planning department is recommending is that we continue it through as a through road. Well, we think that makes a tremendous difference for the people that live down there. Are they looking at a possible cul-de-sac, or would they want to consider the through road option? Certainly makes a tremendous difference. It doesn't particularly affect our layout as much as it does everybody who lives there. So we're certainly anxious to get to the comments so we can be able to have those under our belt and then come back, obviously, in front of you in September. So another exhibit that I'll present to make sure I don't forget is my signature on the extension, written extension for 30 days to October 18th for the commission's consideration.
September.
September, October.
Well, this goes all the way to October, it gives you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And with that, for the moment, I'm going to introduce Sergio, and he's going to kind of walk through the plans themselves and give the commission a better impression, and then we'll take some questions, but we certainly would be happy to get to the public so they can make their comments.
Thank you. Good evening, Sergio.
Good evening. For the record, Sergio Terenzio with Terenzio and Associates, offices at 99 Mechanic Street, Pawcatuck, Connecticut. I am a licensed engineer in the state of Connecticut, and I'm the president and principal of Terenzio and Associates. The plans before you this evening and the application that was prepared by my office and my responsible charge. The survey was prepared by my survey manager, Mark Castellanos, in-house within our company. For just a kind of frame of reference, I'm not sure how much of the history you've been enlightened to on this, but my father permitted this portion of the subdivision, I'm going to say about 20 years ago, and it's generally taken the same configuration, some changes due to upgrades in stormwater, and also the addition of the second parcel. As you can see by the first map, just to give you some context on the location of this, it does consist of two separate parcels that kind of fit together, like some Tetris pieces there, all fronting along Burdick Lane and a portion of one fronting along Moss Street. The property is situated south of South Broad Street, Route 1. You can see the extensive neighborhood to the north of the properties, accessed mostly by Moss Street, and then some of the neighborhood to the south. I wanted also just bring to your attention Burdick Lane. There's a portion of it that is actually closed off to the public and is gated on either side, and that is located along the southerly border of Lot 7A. So this is important as we go through the hearing, is that Burdick Lane does not connect to Cronin with a public right-of-way. It's a public paper street, but it's gated at either end, and it's only, my understanding is that it's only subject to town use for emergency purposes and not a formal street. So essentially, those folks that live over in Oakwood, Johnson, East Enterprise, Hickory, they all have to go by way of Moss Street in order to get to points north and then to go to either Westerly or to the Mystic direction. As you can see, Mechanic Street over to the east and the Pawcatuck River subsequent there. So, and this is situated within a all residential neighborhood surrounding it, with the exception of the school, the Board of Ed building, which is the middle school, which hopefully we'll have meetings next time there, given the crowdedness of this room. But you know, situated within the residential neighborhood, right at the top of the hill. We're all familiar with the Mystic High School. Getting a little bit closer into the two lots, as I indicated, the two lots 7A and 7B. My client, Mr. Brasillo, his house is actually situated at the end of Moss, right at the end of the parcel 7B, Moss Street. That is his primary residence. There was, you know, the southern portion of it has been developed with, you know, with his home and his residence, with the remainder of everything upgrading into the east, or excuse me, to the west, being wooded. You can see that there are several dead-end streets, being William, Cortland, and Fellows, that all dead-end at the northern portion of the property. As I identified Burdick Lane to the south, the portion of Burdick Lane which is not passable by the public, or at least, it could be, it's walkable, but not by vehicle. And then the southerly roads, Johnson and Oakwood, coming into Burdick, connecting those neighborhoods. As you can see, there's a lot of topographic change over this site. We all know the school's at the top of the hill. This is the part of that hillside, and generally the site slopes from west to east. And there's some challenging topography there as you head down Burdick Lane. We did have the property checked for wetlands. There's no wetlands. This does not within 100 feet of a wetland. Does not need to go to the Wetlands Commission. But we're here with you this evening for subdivision review. This is the general overall layout of the property, being the two properties. The original approval only contemplated the single lot to the east. We have since, in this proposal, included both properties. And majority of these lots, these proposed lots, are going to be accessed by curb cuts off of Burdick Lane. The buildings, we'll get into the topography a little bit more, but basically they're going to step up the hillside. There's, like I said, we've got to flatten out some areas, obviously, for the homes. There'll be some challenging grading in between. We were successful in getting it graded out in such a way that we believe that each one of these houses has a pretty, significant and substantial size lot, albeit they're modest sized lots, given the zoning in this area. As per your subdivision regulations, there is a requirement for open space. And in this, we've been in front of this commission before talking about open space. It does seem appropriate in this instance that the town does take ownership over this portion of the open space, and we purposely put it at this end as it is adjacent to the town-owned property at the school. There's also a considerable amount of ledge in this area. We dug test holes all throughout, right up and down the property, because we were trying to get stormwater pockets where we could to treat the stormwater. That stormwater, as you can see, ended up at the lowest point where it did originally from the prior approval. So the folks before us, that worked on this, which I wasn't a part of, that's where that stormwater management area ended up. I think a lot of the attention this evening we're going to hear about is this cul-de-sac brought to the attention of the recommendation of the planner, is that we are proposing an extension of Fellow Street to a cul-de-sac dead end. That will service 4 of the lots, lots 10, 11, 12, and 13. Lots 2 through 9, lot 1 is the existing lot, that's Frank's house. Lots 2 through 9 will be accessed off of Burdick Lane. This is a little bit closer shot of cul-de-sac road and the lots associated with it. We've met all the frontage requirements, lot area requirements, we don't require any variances in creation of this subdivision. Excuse me. Meeting all of the zoning requirements and the setbacks. The houses are, a standard footprint of 40 by 45. That's a relatively good size, modest sized house, especially if you're going to be making them 2 stories. Decent size footprint for the lots that are proposed. Grading plan, you're going to see a lot of lines, and that's because there's a lot of grading that takes place across these lots. You can see these V-shaped areas. We're going to be collecting the stormwater into swales, conveying those swales to each other, and then largely what we've done is collected the stormwater in one large conveyance along the back of the lots. So these houses are designed, close to the road, with the stormwater running along the back, and then eventually into this basin. I will also point out that on Oakwood Avenue, there is a town discharge onto this property. There's a catch basin system in Oakwood, discharges to the lot, goes overland to the lot, then there's a catch basin down on the southerly or the easterly portion of the property that collects that stormwater, sends it into the town system across Moss Street, and then it takes its way, eventually gets to the river. Our intention is to take that stormwater, put it into a separate system so that we don't have to run it through the stormwater system on the property. And this is to treat just the asphalt, the impervious roof, all of the development into this large basin at the end of the lot in the most southerly end. This is just an overall of the site, showing that everything drains downhill, and we catch it, convey it responsibly, and then treat it and send it along its way into the town system, mitigating those impacts. We do have a list of items that Mr. Trinkus, who was the peer reviewing engineer but is now, I believe, full-time with the town, and we will be addressing his comments, and I have full confidence that we can get through what he has posed to us for the commentary in addressing. I think it's a lot of stormwater and grading that he has some concern with. We've heard from the Water Pollution Control Authority. I believe there's a few comments in your memorandum. I believe they're relatively minor regarding hookups to the town sewer system. I don't believe there's been any concern or issue with the capacity of the said system. It's just making sure that we detail those connections appropriately. But there is a proposed sewer line to run down Verdict Lane, which will take care of all the, it's going to run right inside it's right outside the property line to collect all of these houses and send the sewer into the town sewer system. I believe he wanted some stubs on some of the, to extend across to some of the other roads on the opposite side. We had a water study done. This is Town of Westerly Water, and there's adequate domestic and fire flow for this area. We've met with the fire marshal, and he has identified where he would like some hydrants placed, which we have added to the plan since we met with him. But beyond that, we did not receive any, I don't believe, any further comment from the fire department with regards to this proposal. The cul-de-sac does provide an area for turnaround, which was not there before, as far as the fire access goes. Excuse me. So I believe the majority of the comments that we need to address do lie with the town engineer. The full intention of meeting him and dealing with that. A lot of which, though, is, I think, commentary tonight maybe surrounding this cul-de-sac, and we want to make sure that the direction that we go, if it is not a through road, if we stay with the cul-de-sac or vice versa, that we roll that into all of our addressing the town engineer's comments as we go through. So, all public utilities are available. As I mentioned, and there also is a sidewalk proposed along the property line here. And I anticipate most of the school-age children that may be living here will likely take that sidewalk and cut through Burdick Lane to get up to the school there. So, with that, if there's any questions, I know there's a lot of people here that would want to speak their piece this evening, but we'll be available to answer questions if the commission wants to has any questions. I'd be happy to answer them now or later, however you want to proceed.
Thank you, Sergio.
Yeah.
Anyone have any questions of Sergio?
At this time. I have a couple. Is there any plans to pave that section of Burdick Lane?
This section here?
Yeah, that's not part of the project?
That's not part of this project, and it's my understanding the town doesn't want it paved, but I would have to defer to the town.
You mentioned the water pipe coming from the neighborhood, you said you were gonna take care of it separately.
Which
The-
water pipe
the
is it? I'm
flow,
sorry.
the flow from the Oak Lawn or Oakwood.
Oh, yeah, it's coming from Oakwood.
Yeah.
There's a drainage, that's stormwater drainage.
Yeah, what are you gonna do with it?
Oh, there's a, we proposed a drainage system to separately pipe, you can see right here,
Yeah.
that
Oh,
candy cane line.
But it's gonna end up in the same.
We're gonna pipe it right in, but it's gonna end up after
Okay.
the basin, because that's not our
It's just- yeah, it's
stormwater.
just hard to tell.
We're just gonna let it go through. We've analyzed it, it's all part of our calculations in our stormwater report.
Any other questions of Sergio? Clifton, any comments?
My report had a few comments. I've already spoken with Sergio and Attorney Urbina. I'll just say them again for the record. The first one was regarding the additional ownership on the parcel, so I've received that added to the file, so that's addressed. Second comment regarding the sidewalk on Lot 1, it extends outside of the right-of-way onto private property, so that need to be properly either conveyed to the town or as an easement on that private property. Third comment, the edge of the existing paved roadway on Moss Street goes straight up to the border of that right-of-way. If the applicant was willing, additional conveyance of land, especially for both the sidewalk, but also for potentially widening that corner, would be supported by town staff. Couple comments on stormwater management, which Sergio's already mentioned, but one being the cross drainage easements, which we've talked about. So as they address the town engineer's comments, appropriate easements would be required. This stormwater infiltration basin on Lot 1 will require a fence around it, so preempting any comments from the public, I've already captured that for you. But there will need to be a fence around that. And then the applicant should clarify who's going to be responsible for the maintenance of that infiltration basin. It wasn't in the original stormwater report, so we'll address that.
The guy's sitting right here.
Yep.
He's gonna do it.
Good. Then the last comment obviously is on the cul-de-sac because it's my big recommendation. The applicant for the cul-de-sac, they actually require a waiver for it because it extends over 600 feet. I think it's what, 630 from the center?
614.
614.
We may be able to shorten it.
Okay.
We looked into that as recent as today, and I think we may not need the waiver if we do pursue the cul-de-sac. I think we can reconfigure it to shorten it.
Okay.
But if
So,
you are
yeah.
correct, if it's longer than 600, we will need a waiver.
So as proposed, without shortening it, a waiver is required from the commission to create a cul-de-sac longer than
As
600.
presented in this
As
application.
presented.
Okay.
As presented now, it does require a waiver.
Should you keep the cul-de-sac and not want a waiver, just reduce that by the 14 feet. My comments on why a cul-de-sac is necessary, I mean, one is the most obvious emergency ingress egress for emergency vehicles. Being able to provide additional turnaround space, response times, getting down the road, down Johnson Avenue, even by a second can help in multiple situations. So, I mean, I think that's a pretty obvious one. Second one, cul-de-sacs are not a good urban planning best practice, especially in a dense residential environment like this. I mean, if you look at the historic street network, which goes into my third comment, going back to, honestly, it goes back to 1897, but 1925, 1934, and 1937 were the subdivision plans that I identified that showed that at least one of those roads was supposed to continue all the way through to connect to Burdick Lane. So, I mean, if you just look at that basic street network, you need some form of connectivity. My suggestion was just one, because in that scenario, and if it was the Fellows Street extension, doing the math, you wouldn't lose a lot, so it's not a big negative impact to the property owner. You could still facilitate the lot configuration as proposed, so I didn't see like a financial reason not to do it. But yeah, basic, and I think I'll let the public speak on it too, but it's just a good best practice for connectivity, for walkability, for pedestrianism. It reduces traffic on Burdick Lane, reduces traffic on Moss Street. All these things should be considered. I didn't see a real serious negative impact from keeping the cul-de-sac, not even a financial one, so I think it would be in the best interest of everybody if this road was continued through. But that's my comment on it, and I'll leave it to the public to speak on the rest of it.
Thank you, Clifton.
If I make one comment on that,
Please.
just food for thought too. And and my client brought this to my attention, is that if this road does go through, you're creating another intersection, and pedestrian-wise, a crossing, whether or not, there's things like signage and other things that you can implement for safety precautions, but this does eliminate it, although it likely may improve the vehicular fluidity and which way people can go. The concern that we raise is that if you're going to have children walking across here, is it the best practice to have a road where more people are coming through? So just something to think about as you hear from the public and make your own thoughts on this. Thank you.
So no further comments, no questions of the engineer or attorney?
I have one question. Is the final plan to have individual lot sales? Or is there going to be control over the design of the homes? Is it going to be one in construction? How is that going?
No, we purposely have put on these vanilla boxes because these very, very well, once they're approved, could be sold. And it's up to the zoning to determine, as long as they meet the zoning requirements, they could build something.
Okay,
However, I will caveat that. We've put on a substantially large box, I would say, for these sites. If someone were to increase, they can't really increase the size of that because that would increase the impervious area. It might compromise the stormwater system. So there are going to be limitations on each one of these lots, and that will be taken care of legally with any easement, any legal documents that get recorded with the subdivision, especially since there are drainage ways that are passing through the lots. You can't have an owner come in and just decide they want to fill it in one day. So there will be covenants and restrictions that are associated with each deed, what they can and can't do on each one.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure you weren't cookie cutter the entire street with one design, one builder.
We do not have a design, but Frank is a builder, and I think he has people interested in building, and I'm not sure if he'll be building those homes.
Okay.
But each one could be different, and actually they should be. We don't want to see the same thing in this type of development, I don't think.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I will just add one more thing that I forgot. We did go to the police commission, and we met with the fire marshal. I don't believe, like I mentioned, we talked to the fire marshal. We did go to the police commission, and I think it's in your reports that they didn't have any significant comment. They didn't have any comment. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, to move to public comment? Okay, so we'll start with the list here. If your name does not appear on the list, you will be able to speak this evening. You're just going to have to wait until these folks have said their piece. So the first person on the list is Jeanette Eldridge, who signed up to make a general comment. If you'd be more comfortable sitting.
No, I'll probably.
Okay.
Thank you. Hi, I am Jeanette Eldridge. I live at 10 Burdick Lane. I think it would be easier for me if I read my comments.
That's fine.
Okay. When I went to the town hall to see the plans for Mr. Rizzilo's proposed subdivision, I was immediately struck by no provision for another way out of our neighborhood. Possible connections to William Street, Cortlandt Street, and/or Fellow Street were effectively dead-ended and inaccessible for use by anyone as an alternate way out, in or out of our area. All the homes in the Burdick Lane, Oakwood Avenue, Johnson Street, East Enterprise Avenue, and Hickory Lane neighborhood are dead-ended with our only way in or out at the bottom of Burdick Lane. If this exit at the lower end of Burdick Lane were ever unavailable, all of these 50-plus families would be trapped in their dead-end neighborhood. Adding the proposed additional driveways accessing Burdick Lane would only compound this problem. My question concerns the fact that we homeowners are all required to have a second way out of our home in case of a fire or other emergency. So I need to understand why the town of Stonington is not required to provide a second way out of our totally dead-ended neighborhood in case of an emergency, closing the only way out for us.
Did real good tonight.
Pardon?
You did real good there.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Matt Bedoin.
You can read that. Thank you. I tie knots all day, my handwriting is gone to heck. Don't tell me.
I'm batting about 50% here tonight, Matt. I messed up Bobby's name, and he was
All right. I'm Matt Bedoin. I reside at 18 Johnson Street, the very dead-end house on Johnson. We're one speaker in, and I'm already echoing. So this is going to be a consistent message, I think. But Clifton, I was going to say, stole my thunder with what he said. We have 3 dead-end roads all going into Burdick that don't make it all the way to Burdick. It makes sense to take that cul-de-sac and extend it out, just like we've heard. The other option is to go continuing up Burdick to lock it into Cronin. The problem there is it's all downhill traffic, so ice, snow, weather, storms becomes a harder thing to manage than just cutting right across. Also, from an impervious perspective, the amount of tarmac used to make the cul-de-sac is about the same as to finish the road, within range. So it would be less environmentally impactful to do that way. You may actually be able to use it in part of your swaling projects to be able to help mitigate it. Though I'll tell you, we're seeing in my area, 6 new houses have been built since I bought in 2021, moving from the other side of town. And the traffic on Burdick is pretty solid right now. There's a lot of I was going to say tourism, that's my mystic speech. A lot of pedestrian traffic up and down Burdick, so you really, even at 15, 20 miles an hour, you're running a risk on those corners because bikes, strollers, that sort of thing, are all right on a blind corner. So with their sidewalks coming in, that's going to be a boon. That's going to be as impactful to that neighborhood as Route 1's sidewalks are being right now. So I'm actually encouraged by this project. I like the idea of it being all single family, not being cookie cutter all the way up and down. There's just a couple modifications, making the cul-de-sac a pass-through road, I think is a great addition. And aside from that, and making sure that the storm management system is bonded and maintained and doesn't just go into derelict in 50 years. Those are my only 2 concerns, and I appreciate the time to speak.
Thank you, Matt. Very thoughtful. Rachel Pond.
Hi, I'm Rachel Pond. I live at 14 Oakwood Ave. My main concern was also the sidewalks, if they would be bonded and maintained. I have 2 children, 8 and 10. They go to St. Michael's, and so the school bus goes up the hill past Oakwood Ave, and it has to back onto Oakwood Ave to go back down the hill. It's not uncommon for them to go probably 4 feet into the woods past the road, because it's such a narrow road. So I'm concerned about how big the sidewalks could be, how they would maneuver that. I'm also in favor of having an egress to not have a cul-de-sac, but to extend Fellow Street. And I love that someone said about widening the corner, because we do walk downtown all the time. We go to the park, we go to Mel's, and that corner, I won't let my kids ride their bikes down to Moss, because people are going around the corner. The first lot at the bottom, I can't imagine living there and trying to back out around that corner. It seems incredibly unsafe. The gabions, I'm not sure what that would look like, but I'm a little concerned about kids playing on that, how often that needs to be maintained, how high it's gonna be. I don't have a good sense of what that looks like. It doesn't sound very pretty. And then I'll say the fire trucks do have some difficulty because they come around with Santa Claus and they do have difficulty. It is manageable, but it would be a lot better to continue Fellow Street and have that second exit. And I think that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rachel. Matthew Whalen.
Good evening, Matthew Whalen. I'm at 2 Hickory Lane. Good evening. Just had a couple general comments I wanted to bring up. Those being access, drainage, erosion, public safety. Just on the point of access, I think we've kind of talked about that one a little bit, so I'll leave that point to some of the others in the community. With regard to the drainage and erosion, just general concern that the plan there has sufficient margin to expand the field of containment control. I don't know if that's designed with min, nominal, max values, or if there's plan to be able to expand that in the future. If, you know, the plan's based on a general sense of our studies. With public safety, I think we talked about sidewalks a little bit. The other concern would be signage up and down the roads. Concern with on-street parking, blind spots created by cars that may be parking on that road, and what the plan is there. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Eric Strand. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Eric Strand, 2 Oakwood Avenue in Pawcatuck. About 20, 30 years ago, when they installed the sewer system on Oakwood Avenue, they started from the back, moved toward the front, but they stopped at 4 Oakwood Avenue. So right now, there's 4 houses on the corner. We're right on the corner of Burdick Lane and Oakwood Avenue. There's 1 and 2 Oakwood Avenue, and then 16 and 18 Burdick Lane, which don't have, the public sewer system. Now, what we've been told over the years is whenever the lot on the other side gets developed, they would provide connections or whatever when we could finally get the sewer system. So that's what I'm just trying to make sure happens, because we've been trying to get it for a long time. That's basically all I have. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrew Salico? Salico.
I live at 28 Burdick Lane. I pretty much agree with everyone else that having a second way out of the neighborhood would be beneficial to us all. I live right in front of the access road, so going around that corner, going down the hill is kind of tough, and I have a little girl now, so I think having that way out right at Johnson would be good for everyone else. And like he said earlier, the buses turning around there it's tough on everybody to turn around right there. I mean, that's better.
Thank you, Ed. Dave Cotter, or is it Carter?
Carter.
Dave?
Hello. Dave Carter, I live at 8 Burdick Lane. And I just had some personal issues with the whole development and some echoing issues as well. But, just personally, I really loved, I bought the property with my partner at 8 Burdick Lane just a couple months ago, and really liked the sort of secluded nature of the areas, tucked away. And seeing this, I got very worried that, speaking as potentially one of the younger people here, I doubt that there's going to be a lot of young folks around my age or younger who could afford any new developments. So I'm very worried that we're going to look at a bunch of second homes, investment houses, God forbid Airbnbs or something like that in this development area. And just personally, I have issues with sort of the profit motive of, you know, trying to develop natural areas. You know, I don't love the idea of, you know, looking out my window and seeing, you know, a natural area that I really liked when I moved in, destroyed. But those are personal issues. I do echo some of the other things. You know, I feel like having 8 new driveways dumping out onto Burdick Lane, I already have trouble, you know, backing out of my driveway sometimes. Cars flying around the corners, or, you know, I haven't even seen a winter yet. I'm very curious how, you know, ice on that road, if someone's coming down the road and loses control or something, if that's going to be an issue. So having, you know, more impermeable surfaces makes me worried. And, you know, I definitely like the idea of having a second exit, because that will also, you know, help eliminate some of that traffic coming down Burdick Lane. I'm hoping if people can leave out a different area, that, you know, it'll be a little easier to pull out of my driveway. And if I'm jogging down Burdick Lane or around that corner, there might be less traffic. So, you know, all my personal issues notwithstanding, I think, you know, some of the issues that others have brought up are very valid as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Carlene Donnarumma.
Okay.
Does it appear as a separate one?
Thank you.
No, that's quite
Evening again, Carlene.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry?
Good evening
Oh,
again.
good evening again. Yes, well, I'm here all the time, as you know. For the last 46 years, by the
Doesn't mean we
way.
shouldn't be neighborly, right?
So, as you know, I'm Carlene Donnarumma. I live at 22 Oakwood Avenue, which is right here. But I also grew up on Johnson Street at this, whoops, where did it go? Right, at this home, right here, which was 2 acres at the time, but it has recently been subdivided, but not sold. Those lots are not done. So I think it's been very clear to you that Burdick Lane abuts several neighborhoods, several streets: Enterprise, Hickory, Johnson, and Oakwood Avenue. Now you're looking at this, at the board I put up, and you're probably wondering why I put black lines with green dots around all these, a lot of the properties in this neighborhood. They represent lots that could, at some point in the future, be developed. Some parcels are already approved lots. Some others are maybe suitable to construct a real lot. Some parcels could possibly include an accessory dwelling unit. Of course, all of these scenarios, they would have to comply with the zoning regulations. But future development, but they will mean added traffic on Burdick Lane if we don't have another exit. At the present time, I know that some residents are not interested in developing their properties. There's this lot here, a lot here, a lot here, and a lot there. They're all huge lots. They may not be developable, maybe they don't want to develop it, but what's going to happen in 25 years, 50 years, 100 years, when these people are not there and someone else owns their property? You just don't know. So we have to plan for the future, especially because our neighborhood's safety is at stake. It's a wonderful neighborhood to live in, but as you can see, we are all hemmed in by the railroad Amtrak. So there's no other way out. Okay, I've tried to adjust my comments, Mr. Chairman. I'm not going to be 3 minutes, as I just had so much I had to say.
You can proceed. I just ask that you try to be as brief as possible.
Well, maybe some of my neighbors will, I say neighbors here who are going to not talk, but I will ask them for their time.
That's fine.
All right, as I said, it's a wonderful neighborhood to live in, but as I said, it is hemmed in by the train tracks and only one way to exit, and that is Burdick Lane at Moore Street, which has been talked about already today, right down here on this curve on the road. Very dangerous, lots of problems, lots of missed possible well, not opportunities, you wouldn't want someone to get killed over there, but it's a very, very dangerous corner. Let me see. All right. Now, because, I'm all mixed up because I had to try to delete this thing. All right, Mr. Eiler has talked about Prospect Heights subdivision, which is to the, let's see, well, it's this subdivision over here. Right here, this subdivision over here. When that was done way back when, there was a possibility to connect William Street, Cortlandt Street, and Fellows Street. This particular plan that's been presented tonight has purposely, willfully, and knowingly blocked these exits. And now he's willfully leaving out a possibility with Fellow Street by doing this illegal cul-de-sac. Mr. Eiler does not like that option of a cul-de-sac, and our neighborhood agrees with him, as you already heard from several of the people who live on our side, on the south side of Mr. Vizillo's property. Okay, let's see. Now, our neighborhood realizes that a property owner has the right to develop his land, but it must be in accordance with zoning regulations and good principles of zoning and land practice. So I come before you tonight speaking in opposition, which you didn't quite mention, to the current configuration of the property, but there are two things that our neighborhood does like. So I have to give them credit for that. First of all is that they're going to put in the sidewalks along Burdick Lane and hopefully be connecting to Moore Street, because that's very needed. We have a changing population in our neighborhood with many current children and a lot of new babies being born in our neighborhood. But we wonder if snow shelves are also included in those sidewalk plans on the property per zoning regulations. I don't know, I didn't have a lot of time to analyze all those little things that they put at the end of the plan. And as already mentioned by Eric Strand, the neighbors are going to be happy when they finally get the possibility to tie in to the sewer system. So that's another good thing about this project. However, there are many items that need to be resolved with this application, and in my opinion, cries out for a denial, not come back in another month and correct the situation. As mentioned, Mr. Trinkas, who is now, I guess, on this town staff, which I did not know, made a whopping 60 comments about this project, and that he cited many omissions and that many items that needed to be corrected on this plan. So, to me, this cries out for denial. Come back and do it right. There are also a lot of questions that have to be asked, like who's going to take care of the open space? I hear now that Mr. Verzillo is going to do that. What happens when Mr. Verzillo dies? Who's going to take care of it? The Gabion thing, or the open space. There's a question when you have a project that has open space, Someone has to take care of it. Is it the town? Is it a land trust? Or is it a homeowners association? There's no homeowners association plan for this project. By the way, that gabion system, I don't know if we've ever had a gabion system in our town before. And Mr. Eiler suggested it be fenced, and we agree with that because it could be a very attractive nuisance. Okay, and is the town engineer happy with what's been planned and how it's presented on this? I don't know. That's something that needs to be checked into. Now, regarding this cul-de-sac, which is longer than the 600 feet maximum allowed by zoning and our regulations, there obviously has been asking for a waiver. We are not in favor of a waiver. We are in favor of Fellow Street being attached to and connected as a through street to Johnson Street. And some of the reasons, now other people may get up and say, why not do the Upper Burdick Lane, where it's been, it's a paper street, and it's also just gravel or dirt. First of all, if that were to be given to us, it would be a very, very circuitous route to get out of here. As you would have to go up Burdick Lane, you'd have to turn left to go on to Cronin, you'd have to turn right to go on to West Enterprise, then you have to turn right to get on Lathrop Avenue, and then you finally have some other chances to get to Westerly or wherever you're going. So we do not recommend that that would be a good option. Okay, and as one of our neighbors suggested and hinted and stated to you, that would open this whole Burdick Lane to all these people in this subdivision in Blueberry Hill, this is called, to come and use Burdick Lane, because they don't want to deal with Route 1. So you go down all the way down to Mechanic Street to get to Westerly. So let's not do this Upper Burdick Lane part. Let's see. Let's see. All right. When I looked at the record, there was no water company approval of this website. We're being told tonight there's no letter in that. There was no letter. I kept calling the town to make sure that nothing new had been added to the record, and to my knowledge, there's nothing in the record except for tonight's statement by Mr. Sherenzia that the Westerly Water Company. It's not their fault though, because the town sent it to the wrong water company, unfortunately. I also object. One of the biggest problems with this that was discovered was the owners of two different properties, Mr. Virzillo and Mrs. Virzillo. It's been alluded to. I object to brand new information being put into the hearing tonight. This has happened in the past, especially with this applicant for other proposals that's come before this town. And it's something that the town has really clamped down on in years before Mr. Eiler got here. So I'm hoping that we do not allow brand new testimony and brand new evidence being put into the record the night of a public hearing. It's wrong. Now, here are some other things you have to consider. They talked about they went to the police commission. But Commissioner Cohen talked about Moss Street and the curb. Somehow she knows our neighborhood, and it's been mentioned it's a very dangerous road. And there was an approved plan previous to this one, which is now expired. He had a 10-lot subdivision approved years ago. he let it expire. But at that point in time, I distinctly remember that Mr. Frizillo was supposed to deed land to the town to improve the sightlines at that spot. Now, in the town's clerk's office, where the land evidence records are stored, there is a deed that states Parcel A, Frank Frizillo, Burdick Lane Street widening. Now, I'm not a surveyor, and I'm not sure what this refers to, but when you look at the descriptions about that, it seems to apply to this corner, this curve. So what I'm going to do tonight is for Exhibit 1, to put into the record the deed, a copy of the deed, so that could be checked out whether or not that is indeed the right spot that we're talking about, and whether or not this has been implemented on the current plans. Now, right after this is in the records, we have another deed from Mr. Frizillo about street widening, and it had to do with his previous plan, and it had to do with Fellow Street. Now, it seems to me, once you give some land to the town, you don't take it back. So I want someone in town hall better than I to analyze these and get them, figure out what's what with these, whether or not they apply.
You almost done, Carleen?
I don't know.
Clifton, could you get us copies of those as well? Thank you.
Okay. Oh, yes. Yes. Okay. Now, I think also as your duty as commission members and our staff, I want you to go back and look at 5.62 entitled Street Arrangements and 5.67 concerning street extensions in our town's zoning regulations, as well as looking at 12.2.8 in the town's technical standards to see whether or not these apply to this application.
Those be subdivision?
Yes.
The first two are subdivision and one is technical standards, our new book of technical standards. Okay, now, Town Planner Eiler advises you that you have a duty as a commission to consider emergency access, public access, connectivity with the surrounding road network. And so here, I'm going to give you some reasons why it is imperative that we have Fellow Street as a through street to Johnson Street. One, it would alleviate putting a heavier burden on Moss Street with the additional homes, additional 12 homes, which most likely are going to have 2 cars per family, and more if they have teenagers in there with them. We had 4 at my house when my kids were growing up. We already have at least 100 cars in our neighborhood using Burdick Lane every day. And every day there is a UPS truck and a Prime, Amazon Prime truck coming into the neighborhood. 2, it will provide for future development of vacant land off of Burdick Lane, off of Oakwood Avenue, Johnson Street, by the way, it's Johnson Street, not Johnson Avenue, Hickory Lane, and East Enterprise Avenue. Okay. Now, that's why some of those are undeveloped lots, and as I said, there could be, those properties also could have accessory dwelling units on them. So that means more people, more cars. Now, going back to this railroad track, if anything ever happened with a train falling off the tracks at the bottom of Burdick Lane, what's going to happen? We're not going to get out of there for days. That's going to be a tragedy. So another reason why we need to have a through street. And as was mentioned about the bus going up Burdick Lane partially beyond Oakwood, turning and then backing up into Oakwood Avenue and sometimes being in the woods, this would improve a better route for the buses to go through, and it would alleviate what one of my neighbors calls an accident ready to happen. And it would alleviate situations like another neighbor experienced when a trailer tractor jackknifed and ended in the ditch on Burdick Lane and blocked Burdick Lane. And guess what? Nobody could go in and nobody could go out. And another neighbor, quickly, I'll just tell you, I'm almost done, Mr. Chairman. Another neighbor had an appointment, but there was work being done on Burdick Lane, and the road was completely dug up. She couldn't get there. What did they do? They went and opened up the gates on the Upper Burdick Lane where it's the emergency access. Well, thank God we had that, but we shouldn't have to do that every time that something's happening on Burdick Lane. And a last example of why it's important to have a through street. It could save a life. Recently, an elderly resident in our neighborhood felt very ill, but he didn't realize what was happening to him. When the EMTs got there, he was extremely ill. His organs were breaking down. He was dying. And if that ambulance hadn't gotten there because something happened, he would be gone. So those are lots of reasons why we need. We'd also suggest to the planner that there was no soil and erosion control standard. Usually we have an E&S bond. That wasn't suggested if you decided to approve this, which we hope you don't. And we also would suggest a bond for the sidewalk improvements. So we do realize that this developer has a right to develop his property, but it must be done responsibly and with due consideration to emergency access, public access, connectivity with surrounding road networks, and our safety on the south side of Burdick Lane. Thank you for your time and your patience and indulgence, Mr. Chairman. I have a copy for the record, and I have a little mini map for you, so you can keep thinking about all this possible development that could happen and has to use Burdick Lane without another way out.
Thank you, Carla.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Janice Mink.
Hello, my name is Janice Mink.
Evening, Janice.
I live at William Street, 18 William Street in Pawcatuck. And our neighborhood is famous for its walkability and its sidewalks. And I'm here also as a person who advocated for the Pawcatuck sidewalks on Route 1. And my first thought when I saw we're getting new houses is we need the sidewalks. And we definitely need the snow bench so that the sidewalks are wide enough and then there's a green separating the sidewalk from the road. We don't have sidewalks on Burdick Street right now on either side. And I walk there every day with my dogs. I go through the emergency access road, past the middle school, down the road, down Burdick, and that corner with moss is a big problem. So I'm here to, like for the 10th time, say, let's have a big wide sidewalk, let's have the snow bench on the sidewalk. So the sidewalk is well designed, quite wide and with a side bench. The other point is somebody said the oasis will disappear. So we who walk there every day, we're going to lose a lot of trees, a lot of green. We can do, with our tree warden in Stonington, we can do plantings down that sidewalk, which will shade it. We're going to lose a lot of tree cover. We can shade it, it will be safe, it will be beautiful, and it will be a little bit more scenic, you could say, a little bit more. And the other thing I don't really understand is the open space aspect of it. I don't understand who will take care of it. I don't understand its shape or its configuration. But I was wondering, is a playground at all considered part of something that could be open space? Because I know we're getting a playground on the circus lot down by the river, but our neighborhood on this side of Route 1, or that side of Route 1, has no playground. And we have tons of kids, and we have tons of babies. So we could really use this open space with, like, playscape-wise, sort of in the direction of what's behind the high school, stuff where kids could maybe, climb or, play, something like that would be great. If that could be integrated into open space, maybe it could belong to the town, and the town, could take care of it. So those are my 3 points. Echoing the sidewalks, tree warden alert, playground.
Thank you, Jess.
Yeah.
Next speaker is Matt Beamer.
Matt Berger, I live at 4 Johnson Street with my wife and co-owner. I was going to say good evening, but it's probably too late, so I'll just say hi and get started. I am a lawyer. I am not here representing anyone. I'm here because I live very, very close to the proposed project. I also served on the New London P&Z and 8 years on our town's ZBA and 8 years on our town's wetland, so I appreciate your time. I always thought the one I liked most was the P&Z because you got to say yes more than especially the ZBA. Although after hearing the project tonight, I would like you to do a qualified no. I do understand Mr. Brazil's right to build, and in fact, he built a nice house on Moss Street, which is saying a lot because that's a lovely street and his house fits in quite well. I've always been pleased with that. I had thought that the sewer was going to connect to me, although since my septic failed a few years ago and I got a new one, I'm not as excited on that, but that may or may not have been required. But I do think that the problem with the plan as submitted is where it's located, which is that it is adjacent to Burdick Lane, and Burdick Lane is closer to almost a private driveway than a public road. It's too narrow, and the additional land, it will remain too narrow. House was just fixed up on corner of Oakwood and Burdick, and when they were doing some sewer work, they had to stop to let us out when I was going to work, and one of the people from the Westerly Water said, listen, you can't go home between 10 and 3 or 4. It wasn't a case where they had a guy on the road and you went beside it. If there was one car, there wasn't enough room. And I do try to time my departures for work in the morning to avoid the school bus for the same reason, because when it stops on the corner of Oakwood, it's too narrow. I think the road would remain too narrow looking at the calculations on the plan, so I have some concerns about public safety. Particularly, it's not a straight road. I was told that Burdick Lane was once Burdick Farm, up where the middle school is, and that it was the cow path to get down to the river. I don't know if that's correct. I'm not sure because of the berm with the railroad, if I believe that, but I've been told it a lot. But in any event, it's not a straight road, and the curve at the bottom where it hits moss, which has been mentioned by other speakers, is awful. My kids are in college now, but a few years ago, learning to drive, they were always annoyed with me because I wouldn't let them go down the hill at more than 5 miles an hour because I was afraid about coming around the corner. And you want to encourage your kids to walk, and they were all walkers, which is great, but it really is a blind and dangerous curve, and adding more houses and keeping that curve, I think, only exacerbates the danger to pedestrians and to drivers coming up and down. So I am concerned. I do think the gravel access way to the middle school, I've driven on it once or twice when it was left open by mistake, just because to see if I could after all the years, and it was quite difficult. I don't have a Jeep or anything, and when it was open in the winter, when there's snow and then they plow over the snow, I did see a fire truck go down it successfully, but I'm not sure that it's really that great of an emergency road. So there has always been some concern where we live in being stuck, given how narrow Burdick Lane is, how inadequate it is for anything more than one car. I would love to see sidewalks on it. I think that would be a terrific improvement. I think, you know, the snow benches would be important for that. And also the grass strip between the sidewalk and the road, which I think has no name anywhere except Ohio, where I learned a few years ago those are called devil strips, but Connecticut has not rushed to adopt that term. And no one knows where it came from. But in any event, so based on those, I think the project puts too much traffic onto too narrow of a road without making enough improvements to the road. When I was on the ZBA, one of the things we always said is, you know, you can't make a nonconformity worse. When the neighborhood was laid out, I'm not sure anybody foresaw the growth that has taken place, and I like some of it. Look, I was on the high school building committee as well, and we projected a decline in enrollment. It turned out to be wrong because the decline has been even greater. It's a graying town and a graying state. And something that builds some nice houses and might bring some children would probably be nice in there, but I haven't seen the babies, but I get, maybe it's because when I work, because I don't work in Stonington, so maybe I'm missing them. But, you know, I wouldn't mind a few more houses, but I really would worry about the kids. I worried about my own kids. I worried about drivers. I worried about people being stuck, even just a little sewer work, and people were trapped for a few hours at a day. And so I don't think Burdick Lane is appropriate for this particular proposal, but given its width, given the blind corner at the bottom, and also given the secondary access entrance problems. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That concludes the list of speakers. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Just come up and state your name, please.
Hi, my name is Leslie Driscoll. I live at 59 William Street. Yes, hello everyone. I'm going to speak to something that no one else has, and part of this is my participation in the Architectural Review Board, and I know this does not come before our board. But when I look at this street and the small narrow lots lining this, as opposed to the larger lots on the opposite side of the street, it's very unbalanced. So you're messing with the streetscape going up Burdick when you have all these cookie cutter, very narrow lots opposite more generous lots with houses set back a little further. So I think it's going to make a very unbalanced street compared to what else is happening in all of the neighborhood there. So, and I would also encourage that each house be unique like it is in the rest of the neighborhood.
Thank you, Leslie. Anyone else wish to speak? Laura?
Very quick point to make. I live at 2 Moss Street. My name is Laura Graham. Thank you for being here this evening. The history of my neighborhood is super interesting to me, and the first house was built in about 1874. Our neighborhood is incredibly charming. Steven Strasberg said Moss Street is the most beautiful street in Stonington, which I agree with because I live there, but maybe others would argue. It used to be a racetrack. Around 1910, it was used to race horses because Moss was the longest and the straightest. And today, we still have a bit of a racetrack problem on Moss Street. I've come before the police commission and talked to them years ago about putting speed bumps in. They flunked, that was when Darren Stewart was the police chief. He kind of flunked that idea. But I am concerned about traffic. Sidewalks are super important. We have St. Michael's now, which is thriving, and according to Father Perkins, is growing demographically at a rapid pace, so that's a success. So I do ask the builder, who does have a beautiful house at the end of my street, continue the good work, but please take in consideration the neighborhood, because we're all pretty passionate about it. We have the best Halloween, I think, in Stonington as well. And those new residents will need to get at least 500 pieces of candy per house to hold their own. So anyways, thank you for your time, and
thank you, Laura.
Best wishes.
Anyone else? I saw another hand in the back.
Good evening, Commissioner. I know it's late. I'm Rosemary Bonacoria. I live at 1 Johnson Street, the little stone house at the top of the hill. I have a couple of concerns, and I reiterate my new neighbor at number 8. It's a charming community, nice, quiet. Developing, and I respect the fact that you can develop your property. Open space and what goes on in those woods, and it's beautiful to look at, and it's quiet, and I hear the foxes at night yelling. I think overdeveloping that parcel would definitely infringe on the beauty of what drew me to the neighborhood in the first place 10 years ago. Second of all, when my neighbor, Andrew, when that house was built, we had to sign off on blasting by the builder. My house was built in 1935. I have all plaster walls. I have maintained the plaster and the beauty of that house since we bought it. The engineering of blasting all the way down Burdick Lane and all of that ledge, because it's all ledge, is going to, I'm going to have to sign off on blasting and cracking the walls. We had an engineer or somebody have to come into our house and take pictures of all the walls in our house to see that they weren't cracked with the extensive blasting that just went on that little piece of property next to us. My second concern is, yes, Burdick Lane is a danger. It's thin, there's a horrible curve. I don't know how many times I've come around that corner and seen people walking as I'm going up the hill at the speed limit, which people don't drive by, and thinking somebody's going to get killed on this road. Adding more traffic, I think, is going to add more of a danger. Number 3, I don't agree with the connecting Fellow Street to the end going over to Johnson. Your daughter's going to be at the end of your driveway, and there's going to be people flying by as an extra access out of our neighborhood. First year I moved in, somebody came wailing up the road and slammed into a tree, which isn't in your neighborhood, in your lot anymore, but crashed her truck because she was going too fast up the hill. Johnson Street has a lot of traffic as it is. Nobody drives the speed limit. I've talked to my neighbors. I think we spoke to Matt before. A speed bump, nobody does 20 miles an hour. And to open that up, to be able to go all the way over to Palmer Street or Field or whatever the cross street is, it would disrupt everything. I think this is a poor plan. I'm concerned about the blasting. I'm concerned about the sewer. Sewer came up to Oakwood, didn't come all the way up the hill. What are you doing about that? Someday I'm going to have to replace my septic. Do I wait to connect to a sewer? There's all kinds of questions going on here, and I think it's a bad idea, and I think it should be revisited and redesigned. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else wish to speak? Yes.
My name is Jeff Nightball. I live on 1 Hickory Lane. I'll just give you a little scenario about the bottom of that hill, that curve. Well, there was a UPS truck there. And actually, he's there, so he's got his light, he's got his blinking lights going. So I passed him, go to the left. And I was going slow. And thank God, the guy coming the other way was going slow. I would have been dead. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Jeff. Anyone else wish to speak? Hearing none, does the applicant wish to rebut the time?
I think we want to thank you for the patience you've shown tonight and make sure we get everybody in tonight. As I said and stated before, we are requesting from the commission a continuation of this public hearing. We hear the comments. We will address those next month and complete some of the issues for the engineer's comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Just a quick thing. Just a point of clarification. Some people were referencing the open space.
Yes.
I want to make sure that everyone understands where that open space is proposed.
Sure.
Because I think when Carly came up, she may have been talking about the stormwater basin, or maybe I misunderstood. But the open space is at the. Let me turn it toward the audience. The open space is at the westerly end closest to the school. Everyone's aware of that.
It abuts the school property.
It abuts the school property.
It abuts the school.
This is not open space down here.
Where is the parking lot of the middle school?
The middle school's up here.
Okay, so
I don't know where the park, I'd have to,
emergency access road, how is that related to that open space?
to this open space, it goes along it.
Okay.
And
That'd be a great playground there.
the applicant does not.
Can't allow a dialogue back and forth, I'm sorry.
I just want to make sure it's clear that the Burdick Lane is owned by the town, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, we don't control, my client does not control that as part of this. But the open space is on this end, this is the stormwater management area on the other end.
Just so I understand, is that trees?
I'm sorry, the applicant has got rebuttal time right now. You can speak again when the applicant's concluded. You want me to address?
Well, I just think that, as the commission knows, and we're trying to help the public, is that we are obviously approaching the town about accepting title to that piece of open space, so that they can decide on improvements or non-improvements, or, I work with Avalonia, I don't know whether they want to keep it strictly open space, playground, whatever their choice. But our proposal would be give the fee.
We understand that. Laura, I'm sorry, would you like to speak again?
No, I just, because she started talking about a playground, and I didn't know, is this just grass, or is this trees currently?
It's nothing right now.
Trees.
Yeah, but I mean, there is no proposed use, there's no playground proposed.
So when we talk about open space, we mean a wooded lot?
It would be open space and not developed as a part of this subdivision, and deeded to either the town or Avalonia or someone who would manage it, and then a use would be decided.
But just in light of the neighbors across there, visually, it would be a wooded lot, as
Well, it could be that also.
It currently is undeveloped, wooded.
Right. And it could
It's
stay
not-
that way.
It's not a field, it's not whole,
that's what I was
it's
wondering.
completely wooded. And
I know
so,
the school's there, so.
in the proposal, conveyance to the town would allow it to remain in that vein, and then it would be up to the town to finance, fund, procure, develop,
Like a circus lot.
like the circus lot, like any other public improvement, so.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you. Since the public hearing is going to remain open, everyone will get an opportunity to speak again at the next meeting on this. But I'm wondering if the commission, during the public hearing, wants to take up the matter of the waiver at this point and consider, in light of the public's testimony, whether they want to grant the waiver or not grant the waiver, because without the waiver, this would have to be redrawn.
I thought they said that they could actually shorten it by 14 feet. And
Well, that would require redrawing the subdivision.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. Historically, what the commission does as projects are being continued or public hearings are being continued is give the applicant guidance on what changes need to be made. I think Attorney Avina mentioned pretty clearly that they're gonna come back with a response to comments, not only from town staff, but from the public. Regarding the cul-de-sac through road question, I think it would be advantageous for everyone involved if the commission made a decision on what they would like to see for a revised.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So
with
that way
regard-
the engineer doesn't have to do the work twice?
Appreciate that.
Of course.
So what is the commission's feeling on the waiver? And it's basically, should it be a cul-de-sac, should it be a through street, or should it be shortened so it doesn't need a waiver?
If I can, I'll just voice my opinion and then make a motion. I think it should not be a cul-de-sac in any way, shape, or form. I think it should be a through street. And the waiver should not be granted for the cul-de-sac.
Is there a consensus on that?
I agree with that.
Well, as to be upfront, I've lived in the neighborhood, sort of, not really, but kind of. I live in that general vicinity. And my concern, I do like the idea, it's always been an issue, the one access in and out of there. And that whole, even Blueberry Hill, there's a big access, there's only one access into there as well. My not concern, but my comment, and I don't know if we can do this, if they're gonna come in with this through street, to somehow notify the people on Fellows, because that then would make Fellows right now they think it's a dead end, right? So if we could notify those people so we could maybe hear what they have to say?
They were notified as abutters for the project.
All of Fellows was?
Correct.
Because they're not really abutters, they're kind of like up the street a
Well,
little bit.
not all of Fellows, but
Only that are bunch of fellows.
Only the two.
The parcels
Yeah,
within
only
the
parcels
abutment
that
area
abut the rest of the streets
get
are not
notified.
Right, so I mean, I'd like to, would it be possible, or I could ask the applicant or somebody to notify that strip of Fellows? Because they may have some other, they may have say like, we don't want, make that a through street, we bought it to be a
I don't
dead
think you can, I don't think you can expand the public notice required by.
Well,
by-
not required to maybe.
That's in the statute.
The applicant could choose.
That's what I said, but maybe we could ask
On
the
their own.
applicant to
It'd be under their own
reach
volition.
out to the Fellows, or.
To reach out.
Or something.
Or kind of
It just might,
The neighbors.
the neighbors, or
As
like,
an
it's just my
But-
thought, also you're making, someone might have, I understand what everyone's saying, it's a dead-end street, and I understand that, and I do like the idea of the through street, but that I feel for the person on Fellows who said, oh, I'm buying the house at the end.
Yeah, and the plan that was presented.
And the plan was
is in the
presented had a
minutes and everything
cul-de-sac.
had a cul-de-sac, so.
And I think it's a big difference making it a through street.
Well, the other
People on
advantage,
other
the other
side.
advantage to a through street is that the buses don't have to back down the street. They
No, I
can-
understand, I'm not
can
saying
make the
I'm one
loop.
way or the other, I'm against it, but I'm just talking about the people on Fellows Street who might
I
not also
understand.
realize now that they're gonna have 50 cars driving down their street.
So,
I would like to, go ahead, sorry.
I was just gonna say, so, for the record, the town is not going to do that, because we don't statutorily have to.
Yeah, I know that.
But it would be up to the applicants, should they so choose, to engage with the residents along Fellows Street. So, I think that's the suggestion.
Or, I mean, as a neighbor, I could just drop
Or-
something in their post
Or the other
box.
neighbors that have shown up tonight can engage with those residents as well. But I think that was the suggestion.
I think you had the vast majority of people that spoke tonight who want a through street.
I would like to, there were no facts. So I would like to know how many accidents have been reported on the corner of Burdock and Moss. I'd like to know how wide Burdock is, since we just heard that you can't get more than one car. We don't want a Velvet Lane repeat. I would like to know that information before, what kind of, we don't know, and I'd like to have those numbers. I think that's important. I mean, we had
I agree.
anecdotal information. I totally believe everybody, but I'd like to have some numbers to back it up. And I certainly want to know how wide that street is.
I agree.
Yes.
Important information. So, so that's the feedback, then.
Yeah. Do you want me to? My only comment, Lynn, regarding what you just said, is that the historic width of Burdick Lane as a two-route road goes back to the 1800s. So that's why it's narrow. So beyond like the historical nature, just that's the way roads were conveyed back then. That's why it's narrow. I think there's opportunities for improvement. The improvements that would be done, i.e. sidewalk or even road widening or even working on the curb, are totally within the scope of this project. The applicant can do that. I can also try to engage the police commission again regarding, or the police department regarding accident counts, because they're the ones that would have that. So I will work with the applicant on facilitating that conversation.
Yeah, probably at the same time we look at the deeds, right? Like what's happening with that lot or that corner. Yeah.
Yeah, I have that. I mean, I can answer that question now. It's
Counselor, is that clear? Is that clear, the feedback? Okay. I think if that's the conclusion of the discussion, at least for this evening, we need a motion to continue the public hearing, do we not?
Motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to continue the public hearing for Brazil's application until the next scheduled meeting of the commission on September 19th. Is that correct?
It was September 16th, and
16th.
for the public that is still here, that will not be at this location. It will be noticed at a different location. It will either be at the Field Street, the middle school address, or the high school, because I expect a lot of people for other projects too, so I need a bigger room than this. So it will be properly noticed as a special meeting on the town website. Please pay attention and do not come here on that meeting date, or else you will be in the wrong location. All right?
And confirm it's a very strict.
Everybody will be reminded, but just so for you guys here,
Okay, so
it'll
we
be in
have-
a different location.
We have a motion to continue. Is there a second? Second motion. Made and seconded, thank you both. Any discussion? Folks, if you could take your conversation outside, please, we're still in session here. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Then the meeting is continued. Has everyone looked at the rest of the agenda here? We have, go ahead.
I have one item for you guys. On the new submittals. If we want to wait, do you want to wait, Chair?
Just talk loud.
Item 10G, PZ 2534 SPA,
Fair housing.
Fair Housing of Connecticut LLC.
Hang on just 1 second. Folks, please take your conversation outside. The meeting is still in session, so thank you very much. Just hold off 1 second. I think we're good now.
All right. So item 10G,
Yes.
PZ 2534 SPA and GPP, site plan application, groundwater protection permit. I'm requesting the commission vote to make that a public hearing. It's not required to be one, but I think because of interest in.
So you need a motion this evening?
I would request that, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to have a public hearing scheduled for PZ 2534 SPA and GPP Fair Housing of Connecticut.
Second.
There's a motion to, for item 10G to be a public hearing. Is there a second?
Second. And that will be on the
Second,
19th.
Okay, the second motion made and seconded.
It'll be September 16th, yes.
Any discussion?
God, it's gonna be a bad night.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The public hearing will be held on item 10G.
And we don't meet the first time, right?
Mr. Chairman,
We do not.
I make
You're
a
on
motion to
vacation.
adjourn.
We have one other item. After a long distinguished career on the board, Lynn's term has come to an end, and this is her final meeting. I certainly want to thank her for all of her thoughtful contributions and good work on this board, and wish you very well in all your future endeavors. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You get a watch, it's in the mail.
And with that, yeah, here, there you go. And with that, I'm gonna leave this big thing of paper.
You want to take it?
No, no, it's all for you.
I think now the appropriate motion is in
Mr.
order.
Chairman, I make a motion to adjourn this.
Motion to adjourn, no second required. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
We have
Thank you
signatures,
again.
correct?
Signatures.
Signatures.